afternoon. I'm Jim McKay, and this really should be a wild and woolly afternoon on ABC's Wide World of Sports. In addition to the racing here in Charlotte, you're also going to be seeing ski jumping or ski flying, to give this particular event its proper name, high in the Balkans at a spot called Planica, Yugoslavia. Look at the awesome hill from which the jumpers will soar. It's making its debut in international competition, and they say that jumping distances will exceed 500 feet. The great stars of the sport are all here. This is Yuri Roska of Czechoslovakia, an Olympic gold medalist and a national hero to the Czechs. Bjorn Wirkala, the reigning world champion from Norway. You'll watch them today on Wide World, literally flying through the air as aerodynamics take effect in the International Ski Flying Championship in Planica, Yugoslavia. Here in Charlotte, these are the cars that will race in the National 500, some of the most unusual-looking stock cars. A report on that now from my colleague, Chris Economaki.
Right, Jim. Today's National 500 marks the first full-scale confrontation of Dodge's new streamlined Daytona Charger against the Ford factory team. It is a stock car because 500 had to be built and sold to the public before it qualified to race. And here you have number 99 to be driven by Charlie Glotzbach, the defending champion in the National 500. It's very low on the front end, has a droop snoot. Coming back along the side, it's very smooth and slippery. But the important difference of this car and the other cars is this elevated stabilizer at the back end. It catches the wind and forces the car down on the track. Now, the effect of this low nose and high stabilizer in the back is to more firmly implant the car on the racetrack and in the turns. Now, what this will do to tire wear remains to be seen, because some 400 pounds of downward thrust is brought to this car by the wind rushing over this wing and the nose.
I'd like to make you aware, to impress on you, what a big sport stock car racing has become in this country. For example, an estimated 80,000 people are in the stands and on the grounds today here. That's way more than attended any single game of the 1969 World Series. And as for the money involved in it, there's total prize money in this one race of more than $116,000. Two men will be battling it out here today for the title of leading money winner of the year. Leroy Yarborough has already earned more than $167,000, which leads him just a few thousand ahead of David Pearson. As a matter of fact, if Pearson would win the race today, he almost certainly would pass Yarborough and go into first place. In addition to these two men, all of the top drivers are on hand. Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough will be sitting on the first row. Cale Yarborough won the pole with a record speed of more than 162 miles an hour. They're drivers with unusual names like Friday Haskell and Hoss Ellingson and Cuckoo Marlin. All in all, it looks like a most interesting afternoon. Action from the Balkans to Carolina, from a snow-covered hill to a sizzling racing surface, today on ABC's Wide World of Sport. A field of 45 cars is on the pace lap at Charlotte, North Carolina. Sitting on the pole, car number 21 is Cale Yarborough of Timmonsville, South Carolina, in his 69 Mercury, his qualifying speed 162.162. Next to him is Richard Petty of Randleman, North Carolina. On the second row, Donnie Allison and Leroy Yarborough. All three of the men I just mentioned are in Fords. The next row is Buddy Baker and Bobby Allison, both in those Dodge Chargers. And here they come for the start. The green flag is out. There is Yarborough down low and Petty up high as they head into the first turn. Cale Yarborough with the slightest of leads over Richard Petty as they go through the first turn, head for the second. Yarborough sitting on the pole now, just a little bit behind the blue car of Richard Petty, number 43. And there goes Donnie Allison down low, making a bid to pass Yarborough. He does and goes after Petty. That's Donnie Allison, number 27, and nipping in behind him in car number 6, that odd-looking Dodge Charger, is Buddy Baker. And now Baker is trying to pass Petty. Rapid changes in places here on the first lap. It is Donnie Allison, number 27, now the leader. Buddy Baker dueling with Richard Petty for second place. And Cale Yarborough, who sat on the pole, back in fourth position on the first lap.
A remarkable start, Jim. The front row starters are back out of the first two positions at this point. Baker has come out of fifth place to second, and Allison has come out of third to lead on the very first lap.
Donnie Allison is one of the two racing Allison brothers from Hueytown, Alabama. Donnie started in the second row, and brother Bobby started in the third row. He is still back there a little bit and very much within striking distance. There's the part of the tremendous crowd gathered here at Charlotte today. Ideal racing weather, not too hot.
That elevated rear stabilizer must be helping the Dodgers, otherwise Baker wouldn't be able to move up so quickly, Jim.
Buddy Baker really is moving up, the son of a former great stock car driver, Buck Baker. And the man just behind him, Richard Petty, is the son of Lee Petty, who also was a great driver and is now the head of Richard's crew. So there's lots of family stories, from the Allison brothers to the Baker father and son, the Petty father and son. Donnie Allison, the leader at this moment in the early going of this race, which will extend for 500 long miles.
The battle of the brands here, a Ford leading a Dodge now at a tremendous clip. That qualifying record set by Cale Yarborough of 162 and a fraction miles an hour is truly remarkable for a 1.5 mile speedway, Jim.
And so is the pace being set by Donnie Allison right now. His pit crew holding up a sign to him that says 34.60. That means that's the number of seconds he's turning a lap in, and translated, that's 156 miles per hour. Donnie Allison turned on the last lap.
And he's going to run into traffic now. He'll have to slow down just a wee bit to thread his way through.
Here's a story to watch. Car number 1 there is A.J. Foyt, the 3-time Indianapolis champion, making one of his periodic appearances on the stock car circuit today. He really likes to race. He raced just yesterday out in the Midwest.
Yes, he won a race at Sedalia, Missouri, and flew overnight to get here for this one.
A.J. started way back in 12th place, but look out, a spin on the track. Up against the wall is car number 31. That's Buddy Young of Fairfax, Virginia. A near thing for a moment, but it looks like he's okay. The other car's taking evasive action as Young looks for a chance to come down low and get off the track.
It looks as though he just lost it and spun around and hit the rail. He's okay, and he's coasting away, Jim.
Okay, Young off the track, but the yellow flag has gone out for the first time here today in the National 500. The pace car back out on the track. And the leader is Donnie Allison, then Buddy Baker, and Richard Petty. The green flag is out, and they're going to be racing again at Charlotte, North Carolina. The pace car off the track. Jim McKay reporting here with Chrissy Katamaki, and in the lead will be Donnie Allison in car number 27, headed for the first turn. In second place is car number 6, Buddy Baker. In third place now, Cale Yarborough back in third. Remember, he sat on the pole and dropped back to 4th in the early racing. Cale Yarborough in 21 back in 3rd position. And moving up is Bobby Allison in car number 22, brother of the leader of the race, moving up on Cale Yarborough, and it looks like we might have a battle for 3rd, Chris.
The Dodgers are doing well with the wings on there. They've never been this close to the Fords all season long, Jim. Could see a good race here before it's over.
And there we see Bobby Allison down low, and he is taking Cale Yarborough, moving into 3rd position. So now we have the Allison brothers running 1st and 3rd with Buddy Baker in between, and Cale Yarborough now making another run at Bobby Allison. They're still in a very tight battle. There's another spin. That is car number 96, Frank Warren of Augusta, Georgia. Again, he was fortunate. He stayed out of the way of other cars, comes down into the grass, but the yellow flag goes out once again for the 2nd time today in the National 500 here in Charlotte. There's Frank Warren, out of the race, but under his own power, coming into the pits, and all the cars will now pit.
Donnie Allison in. There's Buddy Baker, number 6, heading for the Cotton Owens pit. A.J. Foyt is in, Cale Yarborough, and Richard Petty, and they're all taking on right-side tires. David Pearson, the champion, he too gets right-side rubber.
Perhaps you've wondered just how stock a racing stock car really is. Well, with the yellow flag out, let's watch now a bumper-to-bumper tour of David Pearson's car, this one that he's racing today.
This is a racing stock car, 1969 style. It's the car of a champion, David Pearson of Spartanburg, South Carolina, at the wheel. And 11 times this season it has flashed across the finish line first in NASCAR Grand National competition. It's a unique automobile. It's a 69 Ford Torino Talladega. It's low and it's fast. It has no headlights. It has no windshield wipers. And it has no windows. It has no door handle because the door doesn't open. And in the back, the fuel filler neck is recessed for aerodynamic reasons. And now, let's take a look at the back seat, or where the back seat was. Bolted to the floor of the back seat is a 1-gallon thermos wrapped in asbestos. In it, water in case David should need a drink during the long, hard hours of the race. Also, there's an automatic fire extinguisher, which goes off by itself in case the car is involved in an accident. Because the minimum weight is 3,900 pounds in stock car racing, this car did not weigh quite that much, so there's a lead block bolted to the floor. Also on the floor is a motor-driven rear axle cooler, and then throughout the back are the safety roll bars to keep the car off the driver should it overturn. And now, let's take a look up front. In the driver's compartment, with safety being one of the prime considerations, the floor has an asbestos rug to keep the heat and, if necessary, fire out. On the right side, the roll bars are extended down into the sides of the car. Next to the driver's seat is a shoulder harness release. And then, looking up to the top of the car, a very wide-angle rear view mirror. David, what about the dashboard? What are those things we see on the dash?
Well, Chris, this is the fuel pressure gauge. And this here is the rear end pump that pumps the grease through the rear end. Of course, this is a water temperature gauge. And this here is the transmission cooler that we use on road courses, which we don't have it in right now. This is the warning light just in case the transmission cooler does quit. This is the oil pressure gauge. Of course, a cigarette lighter. Oil temperature gauge. And this warning light here is for in case the alternator or fan belt breaks, we know what it is. Of course, we have two different tacks. One's what we call a telltale tack. It has the little red line. It tells just exactly how many RPMs the engine is turning.
The engine revolution counter, David. How fast do you, or how tight do you turn the engine?
We usually turn it around 72 to 7,400.
What about these switches over here on the far left?
This one here is the accessory switch, which makes the alternator work. This one here is the rear end cooler, and this here is an extra switch in case the other ignition gives out. And this here is a switch, and this one here is the starter.
There you have it. David Pearson ready to go.
Now back to the race course, because it looks like we're going to have the green flag out again in the National 500. Because of the varying times that it took for the different pit stops, of course, the cars are all scrambled up, and there has been a change in the lead. Actually, Buddy Baker with a real fast pit stop in a red car up high there. That Dodge Charger with the unusual spoiler has taken the lead. Second place is Bobby Allison. Third place, Donnie Allison, as the green flag is out, racing underway again. So it's Buddy Baker in first place in car number 6. Number 22, Bobby Allison is second. Number 27, Donnie Allison is third. And David Pearson, whom we saw a minute ago, in car number 17, is now fourth. New leader then, Elsie Wiley Baker Jr. All 6 feet 5 inches of him from Charlotte, North Carolina. And now brother against brother for second place. Look at the Allison brothers from Hueytown, Alabama, on their mother's birthday, by the way, side by side.
The last time they were like this, Jim, at Darlington, South Carolina, they crashed, and we saw that on Wide World of Sport.
Well, I'm sure that wouldn't be the ideal birthday present for their mother today.
I think they're on their best behavior today, Jim.
Okay, there they are. Bobby and Donnie. Bobby, the older of the two, he's 31. Donnie is 30. Between them, they have 9 children. Donnie's ahead in that battle, 5 kids to 4. Right now, however, it's Bobby out in front of Donnie. Both of them trailing by a good margin now, Buddy Baker. There's Buddy out in front. And another Dodge Charger, as you see, Bobby Allison's in second.
The speed is still over 150 miles an hour while they're on the track. The yellow flags have reduced the race average down to about 115, Jim.
You know, even though the weather is good today, the temperatures inside these cars are building up tremendously by now. The floorboards particularly are hot because the exhaust pipes run right underneath them. Buddy Baker had some words on that situation earlier.
How hot do the floorboards get in a racing stock car?
Well, I don't actually know the temperature, but we can take a hose pipe when we come in and put fresh water, and it'll sizzle and fry. Just, I don't know, it has to be over 220 for it to do that.
The words of Buddy Baker, who right now is stretching out his lead in this race. He's in first place, Bobby Allison second, and Donnie Allison is third. News of the moment at Charlotte, North Carolina, car number 98, driven by Leroy Yarborough, is in for an unscheduled pit stop on the green. Leroy trying for an unprecedented 7th win on the Super Speedway here today. Leroy, the leading money winner of the year, in trouble, a tire change, but he's going back out again. Chris is right down there in the pits. What story? What happened, Chris?
NASCAR's biggest winner, Leroy Yarborough, has just lost a lap due to a puncture in a tire that's got plenty of tread left on it. Here's that tire. And you can see what has cost Leroy Yarborough 1 lap in this National 500. Now, back to you, Jim.
All right, Chris, and here comes another one, number 1. That's A.J. Foyt, the 3-time Indianapolis 500 winner. Winner of a race yesterday in the Midwest, here today in his stock car, but in trouble at the moment. Looks like there's some smoke coming from that right front wheel as the pit crew gets down under there. Got to find out what the problem is, and here comes the hood up. Always a very bad sign in any automobile race. Real trouble for A.J. Foyt. And here he comes out of the car. It looks like it's all over for the great race driver from Houston, A.J. Foyt. Over the pit wall, and that'll be it for today. Giving the members of his staff there the word as to exactly what happened. We'll try to get it in a moment, but the leader in the race is Buddy Baker in car number 6. Let's not lose track of that. Charlie Glotzback is second now, and the Allison brothers are third and fourth. Again, let's go down to Chris with A.J.
Oh, you're going great guns while you lasted, A.J. What knocked you out?
Well, actually, the right front wheel bearing started going earlier when Cale and Richard and I thought felt a vibration and really didn't know what it was, so I stretched it out to the first pit stop, you know, when we come in. Then when I went back out, it got real bad, and I knew exactly what it was, the wheel bearing, and we've never lost one. I just guess we weren't supposed to finish. The car was performing beautiful, and I was actually holding back. Wasn't really running hard as I could, and it's really a shame because the car was just running beautiful.
And now Leroy Yarborough has come into the pits again and is pulling behind the pit wall. That means he is out of it. The big bid by Leroy here today for that 7th win on super speedways this year has gone a glimmering. He's had it for the afternoon. Back out on the track, it's still Buddy Baker, the leader, in that red car with the stylish tail fin. The spoiler on the back. Number 6. Charlie Glotzback second in 99, remember, and then the Allisons, Bobby in number 22, Donnie in number 27. Now down in the pits, let's get the word on Leroy Yarborough.
Leroy, we usually talk to you in victory lane, but this is one of those days. What's taking you out of the race?
I don't know, I got the busted radiator and it's pouring water all over the engine.
I see you came in earlier with a punctured tire. Where did that happen on the track, Leroy?
Well, I don't know if I punctured the tire or whether that the inner lining went flat, but one or the other, and then I just had to make an extra.
We saw the tire. There was a puncture in it.
Well, I don't really know then.
Okay, Leroy Yarborough, 6-time winner on super speedway competition, out of it in the National 500. Back to you, Jim McKay.
And now here is the leader of the race into the pits, but it's about time for a scheduled stop. They're racing under the green, but it is time for everybody pretty soon to come into the pits. Here's where the crew work really comes into play. Speed is literally of the essence here. Watch the men on the front changing the tire, everybody with a specific function. Gasoline being poured in the back out of these big cans. We have a watch on it, see how long it's going to take Buddy Baker to get back out there. Leader in the race, all 6 feet 5 inches of it. Car banging down, and out he goes, 22 seconds, a fine stop by the pit crew of car owner Cotton Owens. Buddy Baker back on the track, and into the pits behind him came the second place car of Charlie Glotzback. He's back out now, but both of them have been passed by the Allison brothers, by Bobby Allison right there in car number 22, and Donnie Allison in car number 27. They, of course, will have their pit stops coming up sometime in the near future. But for the moment, the brothers are battling it out for first place. Bobby and Donnie Allison from Hueytown, Alabama. Speed still of near 160 miles an hour, and the yellow flag is out. There's no accident. There must be a bit of debris somewhere on the racetrack. Yes, there it is. One piece being taken off. However, there may be more. The yellow flag is still out as the cars slow down. But we'll be coming back here to the National 500. Right now, it's on to Planica, Yugoslavia, the ski flying. And here is Bud Palmer. Again, you're looking from high overhead at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, scene today of the National 500 stock car race. The leader is still Bobby Allison in car number 22, that gold car out in front. In second place and right behind him is his brother Don in car number 27. And in third place at the moment, and he's moving up again, is Richard Petty in that blue car, number 43. Richard's some yards behind the cars. That's Charlie Glotzback, who appears to be in third place. He's actually a lap behind. But look at this battle for the lead between the two brothers. This could be a hot night in Hueytown, Alabama, if they'd ever finish 1-2.
That's right, Jim. You know, it seems almost unfair. Bobby Allison taught his brother Donnie how to drive, and Donnie knows every trick Bobby has up his sleeve.
And there they are, lapping slower cars. Bobby, the older brother, out in front. And there's a third brother in the pits.
That's Eddie Allison, who's mechanicking today for Bobby, and that's Bobby's car owner, Mario Rossi, in the sunglasses back there. He'll be happy no matter who wins.
Well, there is Donnie closing in on brother Bob yet again. literally a matter of inches between those two cars right now.
You know, Jim, the track is getting slippery. We can see the black grooves there, and the cars are forced to move higher on the track. Look at that.
And there goes Donnie. Donnie Allison in car number 27, retaking the lead from his brother Bob. Tremendous crowd here. Really excited at this point. This is a great stock car race. You are one is the sign held up to Donnie Allison from his pits. The race goes on at Charlotte, and we'll be back in a minute. At Charlotte, North Carolina, Donnie Allison still leads his brother Bobby in the 500-mile stock car race. But the lead is a narrow one, and now Richard Petty in car number 43 is catching up to and now passes Bobby Allison. Blue car moving past Bobby into second place, and the battle of the brothers has, at least for the moment, been disrupted by an intruder. And there's a spin. It's 0-8. That's E.J. Trivet of Atlanta going down into the infield. Boy, he really had a problem for a moment, Chris.
He sure did. It looks as though the engine blew, but he did a fine job of maintaining control. He'd gotten no one's way there, kept the car down the inside. Now is in the infield.
That blown engine of E.J. Trivet, however, obviously brings out the yellow flag and brings into the pits right now Richard Petty, who had just taken over second place from Bobby Allison.
Uh-oh, the hood is up, and they're changing the suspension adjustment on the right front wheel, moving some weight around. He may be having a trouble with tire wear. It necessitated that adjustment.
Okay, 27 there is Donnie Allison, the leader in the race, in and out of the pits, and he stays ahead of Richard Petty. However, he has been passed, obviously, by his brother in car number 22. While the caution flag is out here at Charlotte, a reminder of some of the outstanding shows coming up in the very near future right here on Wide World. International figure skating, for example, from Colorado Springs. In color, you'll be seeing great world champions like Gabriel Seifert of East Germany, America's Tim Wood, the Protopopovs of the Soviet Union, and the great dance couple Towler and Ford of Great Britain. And we have a lot of live action coming up very soon. On November 15th, for example, and you might make a note of these next two, live and in color from Phoenix, Arizona, Indianapolis Cars and Drivers. Mario Andretti, A.J. Foyt, and all the rest, live and in color, at Phoenix before our Wide World cameras. The following week, November 22nd, live and in color and by the satellite from Italy, it'll be about for the World Middleweight Championship between the champion, Nino Benvenuti, and the #1 recognized challenger, Luis Rodriguez. That's live and in color by satellite from Rome. Also coming up very soon, our first alpine skiing show of the season from Val d'Isère, France, the famous Criterium of the First Snows, the first race counting towards this year's World Cup. All coming up very soon on Wide World. And right now, we're going to get a green flag. The race is underway again. And the leader is Bobby Allison in car number 22. There he goes. In second place again is brother Donnie in car number 27. And in third place, Richard Petty in number 43. On the same lap now is Buddy Baker in car number 6 and Cale Yarborough in car number 21. On those pit stops, they get back on the same lap with the leaders.
You know, Jim, the race has been a little tough on some of the favorites, including Leroy and A.J. Foyt, who are out of the race. But Richard Brickhouse, who won at Talladega, is out with engine failure, and he's taken over for Charlie Glotzbach, who's complaining in the pits now of a sore arm. And Bobby Isaac, in number 71, who's won a lot of NASCAR races, is out of the race with a broken oil line in his Dodge.
And the battle of the brothers continues. Donnie Allison still chasing brother Bobby. And getting closer again. Richard Petty in third place. Racing on a pretty day in Carolina. There you see the three leaders. There's Bobby going into the first turn, then Donnie, and then Richard Petty.
Well, the average speed, Jim, is now up to better than 136 miles an hour. It was down as low as 110, but the cars are still going better than 153 on the racetrack.
Richard Petty suddenly seems to have found some speed again from someplace.
That little adjustment may have helped.
There you see the cars battling for fourth. That's Buddy Baker in car number 6 and Cale Yarborough in car number 21. Remember, they're on the same lap with the leaders again, so they're not out of it. And Donnie again is closing in on Bobby Allison.
You know, Jim, the aerodynamic stabilizers on the Dodge have given them speed. They're showing it here today, but it has not generated any tire problems as first suspected.
And look at this duel. Again, just a matter of a few feet between Donnie and Bobby Allison. Bobby's still in front. Donnie down low, taking him. Or is he? He's got him. Donnie Allison has passed Brother Bob again and is now in first place. Look at the crowd. Donnie Allison the leader, Bobby Allison second, and Richard Petty third, and still lurking just behind. Oh, Richard coming into the pits. Richard Petty, and this is real bad news for him, coming into the pits yet again. Doesn't look good down there, Chris.
No, but when they lift the hood, that indicates a problem, Jim.
And apparently a big one, because this is going to be no quick pit stop for... Oh, there's another blown engine out there, number 26. That's Earl Brooks of Lynchburg, Virginia, littering oil and debris along the race course. So it's a very definite yellow flag coming up this time. We're going to move on again then to Planica, Yugoslavia, to the ski flying, and here is Bud Palmer. And for the final time today, ABC's Wide World of Sports returns to Charlotte, North Carolina, where the National 500 is still underway, but we're moving toward the closing stages. The leader at this moment is Donnie Allison in car number 27. In second place, Cale Yarborough in car number 21. In third place is Buddy Baker, and in the pits right now is Richard Petty. Petty, who's had trouble all through the afternoon, now being pushed behind the pit wall. At one point for, just a lap or two, he actually led this race, later dropped back, then made another comeback, then had these continuing problems that finally have him out of the competition. So it's 27, Donnie Allison the leader, as we say, and there you see him with Cale Yarborough, number 21 second, and the red car of Buddy Baker, number 6, the Dodge Charger, in third position. So we have the Fords running 1-2 and the Dodge running third, and what a battle for the lead it is, just as it's been all this long, bitter afternoon here in the Carolinas. And there goes Cale Yarborough, who has not had as good a season in 1969 by far as he did in 1968, making a bid here. And here comes Buddy Baker in car number 6. A three-way charge for the lead. Cale Yarborough is still the leader. Exactly what happened to Richard Petty? Let's find out. Chris?
Long, hard day, Richard.
Yeah, another one. I think threw the fan belt off the thing, and I was racing with Allison there and didn't pay no attention, and the thing ran too hot before I caught it and blew it.
Richard, I see a big stripe on the right side of the rear quarter of your car. How'd that get there?
Well, I put it on by myself up there in 3 and 4 one time. I went a little bit too high, passing some slow cars and got my loose stuff and kind of hit the wall a little bit.
What kind of the competition the Dodgers giving the Fords today?
Well, they give them a hard time for a while, and then it looked like that they slowed down a little bit. I don't know whether the Fords got a little faster or the Dodgers got a little bit slower.
Who do you think's going to win?
Well, I was till I had trouble.
Richard Petty out of it.
Okay, and back out on the track, this is Donnie Allison in 27 and Buddy Baker in 6, battling for second place. Remember, the leader right now is Cale Yarborough, a little bit up in front of them. Donnie, side by side, and now moving ahead of Buddy Baker. His brother Bobby is back in 4th place, out of the picture at this moment, but still in the competition. But Donnie has moved into 2nd place ahead of Buddy Baker. Cale Yarborough the leader. This is the closest, most competitive stock car race we've seen in a long time, Chris. There's the leader.
It certainly is. The stock car racing, of all the racing we cover on Wide World of Sports, seems to be the most competitive and gets more so.
Oh, look at this. There goes the leader, Cale Yarborough, spewing oil on the track, and it looks like he's had it. Consternation among the Wood brothers, the famous pit crew that serves Cale Yarborough's car. Cale drifting into the pits and out of the competition. It had been a long afternoon for him. He had pulled into the lead after a long battle, had sat on the pole in the early going, and the yellow flag goes out again. That's a tough one to go all that way. Finally get the lead and then see your engine blow. They'll all begin to pit now on the yellow flag. There you see Donnie Allison going in, and we'll be back in another minute. A look from high overhead at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where the leader is Bobby Allison. 2nd place, Buddy Baker. 3rd place, Donnie Allison. What happened to Cale Yarborough's car?
Oh, Cale, a tough day for you fellas in the Ford. You're the 3rd factory Ford to go out. What was your trouble?
Blew an engine going down the backstretch, Chris. Car just was coming into its own engine. I think it just started running pretty good, and then she let go going down the backstretch.
Did you go with a lower gear than you might have gone with to get the speed?
No, I didn't. Went with a higher gear.
You look tired, Cale.
I'm pooped.
Cale Yarborough, exhausted and out of it. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, Chris, back out on the race course again. It is car number 6, Buddy Baker, and number 22, Bobby Allison, battling for the lead, and it's hard to call a leader at this moment. Bobby Allison took the lead under the yellow flag on the pit stop. He had a real good one, a fast pit stop, and moved ahead of his brother Donnie and Buddy Baker, but now it's Baker back out in front again. Tremendously competitive race here in the Southland. Speeds are very close to 160 miles an hour most of the time. Of course, the average speed comes down because of the pit stops and the yellow flags.
The average at this point, Jim, is at 130.260 miles an hour, but it doesn't, as you say, reflect what's happening on the track.
And it's Buddy Baker, still the leader in his Dodge Chargers. The Dodge Chargers, who led in the early going, dropped back, are now up running 1-2 again.
There's David Pearson, the defending champion, who's 2 laps down. He's not had a good day in number 17.
David Pearson, the defending national NASCAR champion on the point basis that's contested for all through the season. He's the man being lapped right now by the leaders in this race. David also in this race trying to hang in there and win enough money to move in front of Cale Yarborough in the battle for leading money winner. But right now there's Donnie Allison also lapping David Pearson. He's in 3rd place.
The number 99 car, Jim, is the Dodge, which was started by Charlie Glotzbach, taken over by Richard Brickhouse. Glotzbach is now back in it, his arm feeling better, but he's in 5th place, 2 laps down.
And the leader is Big Buddy Baker, 6 feet 5 inches tall. Oh, up towards the rail, and he almost... What do you think happened there, Chris?
Well, Jim, the track is slippery, we know that, and Baker's tires perhaps are in line for a change. He got in very hard and the car washed up high. As the track gets slippery, some chassis react differently on it, and his chassis may well be set up for a more adhesive track.
When he slid up towards the rail, it cost him the lead. Bobby Allison's the leader, and Donnie Allison is now just a couple of feet behind Buddy Baker. And he's trying to set up to take him and to move back into that 1-2 battle with his brother Bobby. There's Donnie down in the middle of the track, Baker up high. Donnie moving up just even.
He's pulling Glotzbach through with him.
Right, Glotzbach, who is not on the same lap with the leaders, however. There are just 3 leaders in this race right now. That's Bobby Allison right there, his brother Donnie, and Buddy Baker. How does it feel to race brother against brother? Listen to Donnie Allison.
Well, as far as racing my brother, I know that I've been racing him for the past 10 years, and he's a real tough competitor. I know he likes to beat me, and of course I like to beat him. But I know that when it comes down to a race between Bobby and I know that we want to beat each other a little worse than we might want to beat somebody else. And I know it's been this way in modified, sportsman, and what have you, and I just hope it continues in Grand National where he has to outrun me or I have to outrun him.
And there they are, Brother Bob in the gold Dodge Charger, right alongside of him, Donnie, and Donnie now edging out in front. What a situation. For another viewpoint on it, check out Bobby Allison.
When we're on the racetrack, we're most of all competitors. And, of course, the day of running a guy into the fence or anything like this is gone anyway. But I think we look out for each other an awful lot. You know, I pull for him whenever it can't be me, but naturally I want to beat him.
On the racetrack, Donnie's still first and Bobby second. We'll be back for the finish in a minute. The brothers Allison continue their battle at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. There are just a few laps left, and look at them. Donnie Allison, the red car, number 27. Bobby Allison in the gold car, number 22. Just as close as brothers could possibly be. The big question mark here is whether these cars are going to have to stop again for gas before this race is over. Chris, you're down in the pits. What's it look like down there?
They just don't have enough gas left for the racing that remains, Jim. They're going to have to stop.
Okay, well, that was the word, and look at them right here. It looks like this race will be decided by who gets the quickest pit stop between these two brothers, and of course, Buddy Baker, who is in 3rd place, but just out of our picture right now, still very, very close. And the crowd really loving it. Classic motor race under beautiful skies in Charlotte. Donnie, number 27, still leading Bobby, number 22. And here comes Buddy Baker in 3rd place. As you see, he's a considerable number of yards back in them, a couple of 100 yards, but on the pit stop, that distance could be made up if he'd get a lightning fast one, and the other two would be just a little bit slower. Buddy Baker there in car number 6. And in comes number 22, Bobby Allison. This is his final pit stop, perhaps the most important one he's made all year long. Precision and timing are everything here. Getting tires on the left side. That takes a little longer. Timing this pit stop, you're seeing it now, just about wrapped up. It's a little bit longer than he'd want. 24 seconds on that pit stop. They would have liked to have seen something around 19 or 20, but out again goes Bobby Allison, and in comes Brother Donnie now. Donnie Allison into the pits. Car number 27. Banjo Matthews pit crew doing their work. And this is going to be a quick one. It looks faster than the other. If he gets out now, a real good quick pit stop for Donnie Allison, and he is going to stay ahead of his brother, but now the leader of the race is Buddy Baker, because he has not as yet come in. The critical question now is, will Buddy Baker stop, or will he have to stop? He could run out of gas if he tries to make it all the way. There he is, the leader in the race now, Buddy Baker, in car number 6, the Dodge Charger. There is Cotton Owens, the owner and pit crew chief for Buddy. So I'm looking the situation over, making his decision down there. Chris Economaki standing by. As a matter of fact, Chris has Cotton right now. I'm going to have a word with him.
Cotton, are you going to go all the way, or are you going to stop?
Well, we'll have to make one stop, Chris.
You're hoping, of course, for yellow then.
We'd sure like to have it.
That could be it. Number 4, John Sears of Ellaby, North Carolina, has blown an engine on the track that could bring out the yellow flag, although we don't see it yet. If it would give Buddy Baker just what he needed to get that quick shot of gas, get back out, and remain in first place. Here he is coming into the pits, but there is still no yellow flag. First time today that we've had a blown engine out there on the track that yellow flag has not come out. Down to Chris now.
Here, perhaps the most crucial pit stop of the race. Just a few quarts of gasoline. We've got the clock ticking, and they send Buddy out. There it is. A 7.5-second pit stop, which may win him the race.
Well, not quite at this moment. It doesn't look like, Chris, because as he goes back out, Donnie Allison had already gone by. Donnie Allison has taken the lead, and Bobby Allison in number 22 is closing in on Baker again. Donnie Allison is the leader of the race at this moment. There he is. And there is Brother Bobby closing in on Buddy Baker. The yellow flag never did come out, and Chris, if you hear me, that's just a matter of a decision by the officials, I suppose, right?
Apparently they felt the track was not slicked up, Jim, so they let the green stay out.
Now they're on the final lap. Donnie Allison, it appears, is going to win this classic stock car race at Charlotte. There he is. Second place will go to either Buddy Baker or Brother Bobby, and it looks now like it's going to be Bobby. He has winged past Buddy Baker and is moving out away from him. So it looks like a 1-2 finish for the Allison brothers. And here comes Donnie down the home stretch. Towards the finish line, and that's it. Donnie Allison has won the National 500 at Charlotte, getting a well-deserved tribute from the tremendous crowd gathered here today. Checkered flag being given to the other cars. Second place goes to Bobby. Third place to Buddy Baker. Fourth place to a car co-driven by Charlie Glotzback and Richard Brickhouse. And fifth place to David Pearson. Remember now, David is locked in that battle for the year-long money-winning championship with Leroy Yarborough, whose car broke down earlier. The way we figure it, by winning $3,800 here today, David Pearson misses catching Leroy at the moment by some $845. But the winner of the race in a Ford is Donnie Allison. Dodges finished second, third, and fourth. A look at victory lane from overhead. And now here's Chris with the winner.
And here's the winner, happy and, of course, tired. Congratulations, Donnie, your biggest victory. What was the turning point in the race for you?
Well, I think, Chris, the fact that when the racetrack got slick and everybody's tires got worn a little bit, they couldn't run quite as fast as I could. My car just seemed to keep running the same speed all day. It just worked beautiful.
It was a battle of cars, a battle of pit managers, and a battle of drivers, and you won it. What about the pit crew? How long was that last stop of yours?
I don't know, Chris, but it didn't seem very long. It seemed like I just stopped, and they motioned me to go right back on again. And my pit crew just did a marvelous job all day.
Did you know your brother was close behind?
I sure did, Chris, and I'll tell you, I was really happy. My mother's birthday today, and I'm just glad that Bobby and I could finish first and second.
Well, there you have it from winner Donnie Allison.
Well, Chris, you and I have done a good many races together by now, but from a purely competitive standpoint, I can't remember one that was so exciting from start to finish.
Well, Jim, over the years, the great races have always been characterized by one man's drive, either overcoming an obstacle or some sort of handicap. But here today, we've seen a great drive by two men, and they both happen to be brothers. It'll be a race long remembered.
For every one of the long 500 miles at Charlotte. The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Roone Arledge. The coordinating producer, Jim Spence. National 500 was produced by Doug Wilson and directed by Lester Becker. The ski flying, produced by Bryce Wiseman and directed by Robert Rieger. Our associate directors were Don Olmeyer and Joe Assetti. Remember now, next Saturday here on ABC, NCAA Regional Football, followed by ABC's Wide World of Sports, which will feature a special performance by the 1969 World Figure Skating Champions and the Los Angeles Times Grand Prix. Until next week, then, this is Jim McKay with Chrissy Kanamaki saying so long from Charlotte. Air travel arrangements for ABC's Wide World of Sports made through United Airlines, who also furnished promotional consideration. Today's program was pre-recorded.